They really had a stronghold of giving him tainted needles with the AIDS virus in them through acupuncture, because how else could somebody die that fast to AIDS?
Eazy-E's death wasn't some random tragedy. It was calculated. Somebody out there wanted him gone, and for years, whispers have pointed straight at Dr. Dre. Now, one of Eazy's former producers just dropped some serious revelations about his final hours, and it backs up everything fans have been suspecting for decades. Eazy didn't just pass, he was taken out. So let's unpack this. His last moments. The secrets from his hospital bed. March 26, 1995, the day the streets lost a true legend. The way it all went down was so bizarre it kept conspiracy theorists talking for generations. But this story doesn't start with his death. It starts with him collapsing mid-session in the studio, like his body just gave out all at once. BG Knockout was right there when it all unfolded, witnessing the moment that changed West Coast hip-hop forever.
When his lungs actually collapsed in the studio, wasn't nobody there but me, Donovan, and my cousin, because we was working on our album.
How long was that before he entered the hospital to Cedars?
It was the day of.
Oh
my God.
Yeah, he was in the back of the studio, that little hallway. And I went out there like 2 or 3 times.
What BG saw next was straight nightmare fuel, watching his homeless body completely give up on him.
I'm like, E, can you please come on and do your little part so we can turn this album in? He was like, hold on. The last time I went out, he was wheezing real heavily. And he started hitting the inhalers. And as we were talking, he started sweating, and his condition just progressively got worse. He can barely speak.
This wasn't some gradual decline like when someone's been sick for months. Nah, it hit Eazy out of nowhere. One day his rapping, next day he's being rushed from the booth to Cedars-Sinai on February 24th, 1995. And from that moment, he never made it back home. Then came the phone call that turned everything upside down. Tamika Woods, his main girl at the time, got hit with the kind of news that crushes your entire world.
And I got a call from the doctor. Well, really, I got a call from him, but then he was on the phone crying and couldn't talk. And then the doctor got on the phone, asked me, was I sitting down? And then he told me, we got the test results back, and the test results came back positive. He was HIV positive. I said, okay, and it took me a minute, and he asked, are you okay? And I just remember, just sitting, crying.
The diagnosis, it was way worse than anyone could have imagined, way beyond just testing positive.
Eazy's girlfriend, Tamika, tested negative, but doctors said Eazy was in the final stages of full-blown AIDS.
That's when everyone realized this was something way deeper than it seemed. The timeline didn't make sense to anyone. 1 week, Eazy's out here cutting million-dollar deals, shooting videos with Wu-Tang, and the next, doctors are saying he's got full-blown AIDS. The official cause of death was listed as pneumocystis carinii pneumonia, a result of AIDS. His daughter, Erin Wright, confirmed it years later after digging through the medical record herself.
Just pulled it out. I know you can't see it, but I'm just going to read it to you. So it says, immediate cause, pneumocystis carinii pneumonia due to acquired immune deficiency syndrome.
But here's where things get dark. What went down in that hospital room would spark family drama and lawsuits that still haven't cooled off. On March 14, 1995, just 12 days before he passed, Eazy married Tamika Woods right there in his hospital bed, surrounded by machines. It wasn't some fairy tale wedding, it was a last-minute move, and even Tamika later admitted it wasn't about romance.
Got married at the hospital because he wasn't sure if he was gonna make it through. He went through the whole list of, who to trust, who not to trust, who to look out for, who not to look out for, apologizing for whatever negative things that he brought onto my life, and was basically it.
That wedding set off a chain reaction that changed everything. The same day, Eazy signed papers transferring full control of Ruthless Records and millions in assets straight to Tamika. People who knew him started raising eyebrows immediately. JJ Fad, one of Ruthless' original acts, witnessed how shady the situation looked and started questioning whether those papers were even real.
But then there was, apparently they got married on his deathbed.
Yeah.
There's that.
Then there's that.
And was that a valid signature as a person's dying of AIDS?
Right. And unconscious.
And probably unconscious, yeah. I mean, did he actually sign
and
it or
just
not?
sign in because sign here. Do you actually know what you're signing? I mean, you could have just been, your signature was legible, as the judge said, but do you know what you were signing?
What made it worse was how Eazy's own people were kept from seeing him. Multiple witnesses claimed they were blocked from visiting him during those last days.
Because nobody was allowed to see him. She wouldn't let anybody in. So if it was the way that they depicted to be, why couldn't somebody see him? Why couldn't his kids, just his kids, go in? Forget anybody else. Yeah.
Oh, his own parents couldn't see him.
At one point, they couldn't.
Oh, wow.
There was no explanation as to why.
That's cold. keeping a man's own kids from saying goodbye. The money situation after his passing got even uglier. Attorney Frank Long-O, who represented some of Easy's children, revealed just how wild the estate split actually was.
Ended up meeting Eric's mom and, a couple of the, baby mamas. And I heard the whole story that on his deathbed, he had given basically his entire estate to one of his children's mother. I mean, yes, I think a certain amount was left to each one of the kids, but a very small amount. I actually can't remember the amount right now. $75,000, there we go. And at that time, I want to say that the estate was worth, I think it was over $20 million.
Think about that, a $20 million empire, and each of his kids only walked away with about $75,000, while nearly everything else went to the woman he married when he could barely speak. The fallout from that setup wrecked Easy's family for years. BG Knockout, who stayed close with them, said the pain and resentment never really faded.
But she wasn't the best choice because his kids, they don't benefit from nothing that he's done, from none of the monies he made, the company, none of that. So she wasn't the best choice, but it's his business. He did what he did.
Okay, so what you're saying is in 2021, all his kids, aside from Tamika's child that they had together, don't financially benefit at all.
They don't at all.
Estate.
Not at all.
At all.
At all.
The way Eazy was isolated in his final days left everyone who loved him heartbroken. Even his funeral ended up showing just how divided his circle and his legacy had become.
Well, one of the things that Yella said was that he was the only member in NWA to actually go to Eazy's funeral.
He was. And I was there to witness that. That's absolutely true. Yep, a bunch of other celebrities, like I think Belle Biv DeVoe, all them people came. I seen like R&B singers and all type of people, but Yella, as far as NWA, yeah, he was the only one.
The absence of Eazy-E's closest collaborators at his funeral spoke louder than words. It showed just how much damage had been done, not only by his death, but by all the chaos surrounding it. In those final weeks, people started questioning everything, whether he was even mentally capable of signing legal documents, why his family couldn't see him, and how his health went from fine to fatal so fast. Those questions would fuel decades of conspiracy theories. Then Dr. Wilbert Jordan, a respected HIV AIDS specialist, came forward with details that added another strange layer to Eazy's already mysterious medical case.
During that time, we know that he had a number of other women in his life. So I just want to talk about them for a second.
I have two of my patients.
Two of the women were your patients? Just want to make sure I heard that correctly.
Yes.
Yes.
One's still my patient.
So they were indeed infected?
Yes, oh yeah.
What Dr. Jordan revealed directly contradicted one of the biggest arguments made by those who doubted the official story, that none of Eazy's partners had ever tested positive, which skeptics claimed was proof he couldn't have contracted the virus naturally. But to really understand why that idea caught fire in the streets, you've got to look at the relationships and rivalries that shaped Eazy's last years, especially his explosive fallout with a man who used to be his brother. The deadly feud. Brothers turned enemies. The beef between Eazy-E and Dr. Dre wasn't your typical hip-hop clash. It was betrayal at the highest level. Their split tore apart one of rap's most iconic groups and left wounds that never truly healed. What began as a brotherhood born in Compton streets turned into a brutal war of diss tracks, lawsuits, and vendettas that would define both their legacies forever. To grasp how deep the betrayal ran, you've got to understand what NWA meant to both of them. They weren't just partners, they were pioneers. Together, they built a cultural revolution that changed music forever. Eazy-E, who went from hustling on the block to launching Ruthless Records in 1987, brought the raw street energy, while Dre brought unmatched production skills from his world-class Wrecking Crew days. The result was pure history. Authentic street stories laid over groundbreaking beats that had the whole world paying attention. But cracks started forming in 1990 when Ice Cube left NWA over money issues. Things really exploded when Dre started feeling shortchanged, believing he was doing all the work while getting crumbs in return. That's when Suge Knight stepped in, auditing Ruthless Records and convincing Dre that he was being robbed blind. The conversation that officially ended their friendship was one Dre would later describe with visible pain, a moment that broke him.
I said, listen, man, all of this going back and forth, man, either Jerry goes or I go. And he looked me in my face and said, I can't get rid of Jerry. That was the end of me and Eazy-E's relationship. The feeling I had at that moment, similar to losing a brother, seriously broke my heart.
You could hear the heartbreak in Dre's voice when he talked about that day. But if Dre felt betrayed by Eazy's loyalty to manager Jerry Heller, Eazy felt just as betrayed when Dre jumped ship to death row in 1991. Their business ties were messy. Dre was still under contract with Ruthless as both producer and artist, which meant Eazy was legally entitled to a cut of Dre's future work. That setup sparked constant tension and legal drama. When Dre dropped The Chronic in 1992, it blew up, but it also came packed with shots aimed directly at Eazy. The track F*** Wick Dre Day, and everybody celebrating. * painted him as a fake gangster exploiting his team. Eazy's comeback, though, would go down in hip-hop history. His 1993 EP It's On, Dr. Dre, 187M Killer, and the hit single Real Motherfucking GS, was pure fire, one of the most brutal diss records ever made. His appearance on the Arsenio Hall show cemented that moment with one of the coldest performances in beef history.
Basically, I had Dre signed as exclusive producer and exclusive artist. So when Dre tried to make his deal over at Interscope, I was included for the next 6 years. So you can say all you want to say. Basically, you could diss me all you want, but I'm gonna get paid. Because that's why I say Dre Day is only Eazy's payday. And that's real.
The irony was unreal. While Dre was clowning Eazy in his songs, Eazy was still getting paid from every single copy of The Chronic sold, cashing checks off his rival's success. The insults got personal and hit below the belt. Eazy kept calling Dre a studio gangster, a jab that carried real meaning.
But that's not real. They go in the studio and all of a sudden become hard when they used to do dance music.
He was pointing straight at Dre's early days with the world-class Wrecking Crew, when Dre wore sequins and makeup, a far cry from a hard street image he later adopted with NWA. When people asked Eazy if he'd ever make peace with Dre, his answer made it clear that the wounds ran deep.
Basically, if I got dissed by, over a couple of million people heard about me trying to be hardcore, I don't think I want to make up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you understand. Business is business, I do a record with him.
The feud eventually spun completely out of control. Reports from back then described violent confrontations, including one where Suge Knight's crew allegedly beat Eazy with bats and pipes to force him to release Dre from his contract. This was no longer about money or music, it was a full-blown war. But the tragedy in all this? They were actually close to making peace before Eazy died. Ice Cube, who had already made amends with Eazy, tried to reconnect the two. In one of his last interviews, Cube opened up about a conversation that could have changed everything.
See Eazy, right before he died, he was talking about, yo, let's get the group back together. You think you can do it? I was like, yo, you work it out with Dre, come holler at me, you know what I mean? And it didn't happen because a few months later he was sick.
Cube later shared more about that moment, saying he and Eazy were finally starting to heal old wounds. It wasn't just talk, there was real progress happening behind the scenes.
And then I saw him at a club in New York called The Tunnel. And he was with Bone Thugs and Harmony. They was just blowing up. They had Crossroads that come out and it was just huge. So we got a chance to talk. We just sat and talked, and we talked for hours, just about old times, could we get it back together? He was beefing with Dre by then and Death Row. And I was like, yo, work that out and I'm here, and then that was the last time I seen him.
Even Dr. Dre admitted that before Eazy got sick, they'd been discussing something huge, a full NWA reunion. That revelation made Eazy's sudden death hit even harder, leaving fans wondering what could have been if they just had more time.
Yes, I did. I was so fortunate to be able to get on the phone with him and talk about maybe putting the NWA back together, and we chopped it up about old times and what have you, and maybe not even 2 weeks after that, he was in the hospital.
Really though?
Yeah, so the last time I actually saw him, he didn't know I was in the room.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, keep the story going. Hit one of the videos on your screen for more wild, untold hip-hop stories and exclusive content.